A very good morning to all our viewers. I'm Smriti Rastogi with Breakfast News. In the next half an hour, we will get you all the latest news and updates. But before we get started, a quick look at the top headlines. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari concludes two-nation tour to Armenia and Poland. Terms the visit highly satisfactory. Need to tackle terrorism among key issues discussed. No question of taxing agriculture income, says Niti Aayog Vice Chairman. Says aim is to prevent non-agriculturalists from misuse to convert black money into white. Centre rules out talks with separatists in Kashmir to restore normalcy. Informs Supreme Court that dialogue possible only with recognized political parties. North Korea's test firing of ballistic missile fails, says reports. Development as US begins installing anti-missile system in South Korea. And India's challenge at the Badminton Asia Championships ends. PV Sindhu crashes out in the quarterfinals. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari concluded his 5-day visit to Armenia and Poland on Friday. During the visit, he held talks with the top leadership of the two countries on a wide range of issues. He also emphasized on the need to tackle the scourge of terrorism.
Long-standing friendly relationship of India with Armenia and Poland received a new impetus and direction after Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari's visit. While addressing the media on board, Vice President said that the talks with these countries were highly satisfactory. India signed a memorandum of understanding with Armenia on peaceful uses of outer space, cooperation in youth affairs and a program of cultural cooperation. With Poland, India focused on 3 particular areas of interest: clean coal mining technology, agricultural products and defense cooperation.
There were 2 friendly countries where we were able to regenerate interest in each other's existence and in cooperation. It is true of Armenia also, a small country, but a very, very friendly country traditionally to us. There are little things that we need to do which have been done and will continue to be done.
The Vice President also underscored the need to adopt comprehensive convention on international terrorism. He stressed that every country was facing terrorism to a lesser or greater degree.
Dimensions of the problem are understood by everyone, whether it is England, Belgium, France, Poland, Germany, or our own problems, or Indonesia, or Malaysia, any country. Terrorism has become like a pandemic. It is affecting every society.
Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari was on a 5-day visit to Armenia and Poland from 24th of April. He was accompanied by his wife Salma Ansari, Minister of State for Small, Medium and Micro Industries Giriraj Singh, MPs Sitaram Yechuri, DP Tripathi, Vivek Tankha and Thupstan Chuang.
Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari exuded confidence that high-level political contact and vibrant economic engagement will further strengthen India's relationship with Armenia. He also enunciated that as Polish companies look for opportunities and markets outside Europe, India is a natural destination. With camera persons Sanjay and Anirban and with inputs from Amrita Rai, on board from Warsaw to New Delhi, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
Also, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari addressed the students of University of Warsaw on Friday on 7 decades of Indian democracy. Ansari asserted that an imperative test of a true democracy lies in how it protects and respects the rights of minorities. He further added that democracy can only flourish when divergent voices can be freely heard without the fear of backlash.
Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari addressed the students of the University of Warsaw on Thursday. He noted that for the last years, Indian democracy worked to the best of its capacity, although not yet to the best of its ability. He added that despite its success, there are many challenges in deepening and consolidating democracy.
Democracy is a self-correcting and self-improving mechanism. The solution to addressing the gaps and failings of democracy is indeed more democracy. It is when democracy stops working, when conflicts are not peacefully resolved, that violent separatist movements and religious conflicts emerge.
The Vice President underlined that India is a plural society of immense diversity with different social, religious, cultural and linguistic expressions. And in such diversity, tensions are unavoidable and at times they escalate into conflict.
These are often local and transitory, and the same allegedly democratic process that generates them also helps resolve them in good measure. Public awareness, avoidance of extremist postures, and prompt corrective action by the administration assists the process. Absence of these, for whatever reason, aggravates them and causes damage to the social fabric.
The Vice President also praised the constitutional mechanisms that have maintained the democratic form in India. He highlighted that periodic elections, an independent election commission and an independent judiciary with sweeping powers of judicial review have helped foster a culture of democracy in India. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Cyprus, the strategically located country near the Middle East, has promised to work with India on all international forums to fight the menace of international terrorism. The former Greek colony that lies near Syria and Turkey will strengthen relationship with India for trade and economy, including cooperation on strategic issues. Here's more from the summit-level meeting held between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Cyprus's president.
Terrorism dominated talks between visiting Cyprus President Nikos Anastasiadis and Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Hyderabad House on Friday. Both leaders agreed on the need for all countries to act decisively against nations that sustain terrorism.
Given its location, Cyprus appreciates the threat that terrorism poses to the global peace and stability. India itself has been battling cross-border terrorism for decades. We agreed that there is an urgent need for all countries to decisively act against those states who generate, support, shelter, and sustain these factories of violence in our regions.
As we have noted earlier, are like-minded countries, and we will continue to promote our cooperation in order to contribute to stability, prosperity, and security in the world. In this context, we exchange views on developments in our respective regions and on international issues of common interest and concern, such as migration and conflict resolutions.
India and Cyprus signed 4 agreements, including cooperation in merchant shipping, air services, agriculture and culture, and scientific education. They also agreed on the need for early reforms of the United Nations Security Council. Prime Minister Modi also appreciated the support of Cyprus has given for India's bid for the permanent membership at the UN Security Council.
Both of us believe that a reformed Security Council, reflective of the world as it is and not as it was, is necessary to address the range of complex challenges facing the world today.
These agreements further enhance the long-standing relations between our two countries and add to extensive existing legal framework, which includes 16 existing bilateral agreements and memoranda of understanding.
With a foreign direct investment above $8.5 billion, Cyprus is the 8th largest foreign investor in India. It has invested in areas such as finance leasing, stock exchange, manufacturing industries, real estate, construction, shipping and logistics. President Anastasiadis also affirmed his stand to help India to facilitate the free trade agreement with the European Union.
Cyprus is a firm supporter of the enhancement of the EU-India strategic partnership and dynamic cooperation in all areas of mutual interest. In this context, I express our sincere support for tangible progress in the negotiations for the conclusion of an EU-India free trade agreement.
On Friday, President Nikos Anastasiadis met External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj to discuss areas of bilateral cooperation. He was accorded a ceremonial welcome by President Pranab Mukherjee and Prime Minister Modi at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Regional issues of Cyprus also figured in the talks with its president. Interestingly, Indian leaders would also hold talks with Erdogan, the president of its largest neighbor, Turkey, next week at a summit-level meeting.
Given the fact that Turkey's president is also coming to India next week, it is understood that India will try to find some midway between Cyprus and Turkey, and it will be a major diplomatic initiative of India in that region. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television with camera person D.K. Pandey in Delhi.
On to some more developments, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley today said that the government is in the final stages of fixing tariffs of various commodities under the goods and services tax regimes. However, he also mentioned that the new taxes will not be significantly different from current levels. The government has set the target for the new tax regime to roll out by July 1st, 2017.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley on Friday promised that there will be no surprises in the tax rates fixed under the goods and service tax regime. He also assured the annual meeting of the Confederation of Indian Industries that the GST process is in its final stages. Jaitley asserted that the tax rates will not be significantly different from existing levels.
We are now in the final stages of fixing tariffs per commodity. The formula under which it is to be done has also been explained, and therefore nobody really is going to be taken by surprise. It's not going to be very significantly different.
Jaitley insisted that the benefits of low taxes must be passed to consumers at large. Pitching the need to widen the tax net, he said tough steps are necessary to make India a tax-compliant society. The GST Council, headed by Jaitley, is slated to meet next month to finalize tax rates for different goods and services.
Profit is not a bad word. Profiteering is not a bad word. But unfair enrichment is. And therefore the benefit of a reduced taxation is a benefit which the consumers are entitled to.
The finance minister also spoke on the ongoing tussle between the government and the Supreme Court over Aadhaar, saying the unique identity will be the most preferred way to move forward in the world. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, Niti Aayog Vice Chairman Arvind Panagaria categorically stated that there is no question of taxing agriculture income at a time when the government is keen on doubling the income of farmers. Responding to a question to reporters on the sidelines of the CII function in Delhi, he said that 80% of the rural areas are connected to agriculture and taxing would have an adverse effect. He said that the 3-year action agenda states that loopholes should be plugged to prevent non-agriculturalists from converting their black money into white by showing it as agriculture income. The Congress, on the other hand, has accused the BJP of being anti-farmer. In a tweet, party spokesperson Randeep Surjewala asked the centre not to backstab the country's farmers.
You see, today, if you look at the poor, no matter how you measure them, choose whatever poverty line you want to choose. 80% are in rural areas and connected to agriculture. And we are talking about doubling the farmers' income. In that milieu, how can you be talking about taxing farmers' income?
Not even the rich landholding farmers in that case.
Look, 1 or 2% agar hai, they all send such a bad signal to everybody.
And with that, we'll head into a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Amritan Shirai and you're watching Constitutionally Yours.
Large number of people from this backward caste have received education.
There is a provision in the Constitution for providing a reservation to the caste.
Methodology of reservation on caste basis is a fundamental thing.
Reservation on the basis of caste has reinforced caste consciousness among citizens.
a performance audit, including of the reservation process.
Watch Constitutionally Yours on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. The centre on Friday told the Supreme Court that it would not hold talks with the separatist leaders who wanted Azadi from India. The government said that a dialogue to restore normalcy in Kashmir will be done only with recognised political parties in the state. The statement came while the top court was hearing a petition filed by the Jammu and Kashmir Bar Association against the use of the pellet guns. The association wants the centre to hold talks with Hurriyat leaders without the condition that it must be within the framework of the Indian Constitution. Speaking on behalf of the centre, the Attorney General said, and I quote, "The Chief Minister is with the Prime Minister. What further dialogue is required? The Prime Minister has invited the Chief Minister. She is their Chief Minister." Unquote. Meanwhile, the top court asked the Bar Association to come up with better suggestions to solve the crisis and also said that it would tell the armed forces and police in the state to suspend the use of pellet guns if it assures stone-throwing protests will stop. The court will take up the matter for further hearing on 9th of May. Meanwhile, the Manipur unit of the Bharatiya Janata Party has gained strength with 4 more Congress legislators joining the party. The move comes just a day after the Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi chaired a meeting of the party's Coordination Committee for Northeastern states to discuss ways to strengthen the party in the region. On Friday, Nagam Thang Haokip, Y. Surchandra Singh, S. Bira Singh and O. Lukhoi Singh joined the Saffron Party. Chief Minister N. Biren Singh and the state unit president felicitated them at the BJP office. Congress had earlier lost 2 MLAs to the BJP. N. Biren Singh was sworn in as the Chief Minister of the state on 15th of March. Out of the 60 assembly seats, the ruling Congress led by the Bobby Singh had bagged 28 seats, but BJP, which secured 21 seats, joined hands with other parties to form the government. And here are some more updates from across the country nationwide. While apprising the Supreme Court on measures taken to handle farmer suicide, Tamil Nadu government told the Apex Court that a total of 30 farmers have committed suicide across the state in 2016 and 17. It said that as per the reports, 52 of the listed 82 farmers had died of various other reasons but not committed suicide. State unit government also said that the kin of the 82 farmers have been given 3 lakh rupees each as ex gratia from the Chief Minister's Relief Fund. The Delhi government on Friday announced that the national capital will not observe holidays on the birth or death anniversary of eminent personalities. The decision comes close on the heels of a similar order by the Yogi Adityanath-led UP government, which cancelled 15 public holidays marking the birth or death anniversary of eminent personalities. Delhi's Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia has issued an instruction to the Chief Secretary for the same. BJP National President Amit Shah will visit Jammu and Kashmir on a 2-day tour from today and review the works of the party and the ministers there. This visit assumes significance in the view of the deteriorating security condition in the state and tensions between the coalition partners, the BJP and the PDP. Shah will hold various meetings with its party leaders, workers and ministers. Thirteen people drowned, 4 rescued and 1 went missing as a boat capsized near Anantapur district late Friday evening. According to the police, 18 people who were on the boat and they were of the same family. This happened when they decided to take a joyride in the lake and alarmingly large number of passengers caused the incident. Police and locals carried out the rescue operations. 4 people were successfully rescued from the lake while search is on to find a missing person. On to some international developments. North Korea has test-fired a ballistic missile, South Korean and US military officials say. However, the test is reported to have failed. The missile apparently exploded seconds after liftoff. with US military saying that the missile did not leave North Korean territory. The missile was fired from a site in South Pyongan province, north of Pyongyang, in the early hours of Saturday local time. The launch occurred a matter of hours after the US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson called on the rest of the world to help force North Korea to give up its nuclear ambitions. Speaking at the UN Security Council, Tillerson warned of catastrophic consequences if the Council did not act. The US said that US might use military forces if necessary. The developments come even as the US begun installing anti-missile system called THAAD in South Korea to counter threat from the north.
Had this body fully enforced and stood behind resolutions it had enacted in the past, vigorously enforcing sanctions with full compliance, perhaps we would not have found ourselves confronted with the high level of tension that we're faced today. We will not negotiate our way back to the negotiating table with North Korea. We will not reward their violations of past resolutions. We will not reward their bad behavior with talks.
Even as the US has sounded a global call to action on the North Korean nuclear threat, Russia and China warned of consequences. While both Russia and China warned North Korea over its missile program, the two also warned the US against using military action. In comments apparently directed at the US and Pyongyang, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister told the UN Security Council that rhetoric and reckless muscle flexing has led to a situation where the whole world was seriously wondering whether there was going to be a war. China too warned against military action to respond to a threat from North Korea's missile and nuclear programs. Washington has repeatedly called for tougher UN sanctions, but wants China to take the diplomatic lead by using its leverage over Pyongyang. However, Beijing has been reluctant to do so for the fear of destabilizing North Korea.
Подчиниться законным требованиям международного сообщества, сформулированным в соответствующих резолюциях Совета Безопасности ООН. Вместе с тем, силовые опции абсолютно неприемлемы и чреваты катастрофическими последствиями как для Корейского полуострова.
第二个基本方向是坚持对话谈判解决的道路。武力解决不了问题，反而会造成更大的灾难。对话谈判是唯一的出路，也是各方的明智的选择。回顾解决半岛核问题的历程。 只要对话谈判仍在进行。
Meanwhile, clashes broke out in Rio de Janeiro as Brazilian unions led the nation's first general strike in over 2 decades. They are protesting President Michel Temer's austerity measures. The strike hit public transport, schools, factories, banks and businesses. Even so, analysts and government officials said the strike would have little impact on Temer's effort to push economic reforms through Congress, which are widely expected to be approved given the president's continued support among legislators. Police clashed with demonstrators in several cities, firing tear gas in efforts to clear roadways blocked by the burning barricades. Protesters also obstructed the entrances of airports and metro stations, with some groups smashing shop windows and targeting banks. Temer's efforts to pass pension and labor reforms have deeply angered many Brazilians. Temer has proposed a minimum age for retirement, which would compel many employees to work longer to receive a pension and reduce payouts in a country where many workers retire with full benefits in their 50s. Brazil's last general strike took place in 1996 in protest over privatization and labor reforms under former President Fernando Henrique Cardoso. A suicide car bomb attack at a police station in Baghdad on Friday claimed at least 4 lives and injured 8. ISIS has claimed the responsibility for the attack. According to the police, all those killed were policemen. The explosion targeted an entrance to the traffic police station in Baghdad's Karada neighborhood. The attack comes as Iraqi forces struggle to push back Islamic State group militants in the northern Iraqi city of Mosul, the last pocket of significant urban territory the group holds in Iraq. A similar attack was carried out by the group last year, killing 300 people. The Korean crisis is just one of the many challenges Trump has faced in nearly 100 days in his office. He marks the crucial milestone today, and reactions across the US and the world seem mixed. Approval ratings for the US president is at a low of 32% among young Americans. Here's a look at some of his controversial decisions and how a few of them backfired too.
The 100 days of an American president's term traditionally marks the end of the honeymoon period, a time to take stock of early achievements, launch new legislations, and set a new direction. But the scorecard for Donald Trump's first 100 days does not read well. Approval ratings for Trump is at a low of 32% among young Americans, and just 46% of Americans feel he has lived up to his campaign promises.
What's on his plate? He knows what, his expectations have been somewhat managed as far as what he thought taking that office was going to be like and what it is in actual reality. But the things that are on his plate today might change overnight tomorrow as far as, some issues that he has to address.
One of the issues he has successfully addressed just before the 100-day mark was taxes. Trump proposed deep tax cuts for many businesses, though the one-page plan offered no detail on how it would be paid for without increasing the deficit.
We are going to cut taxes and simplify the tax code by taking the current 7 tax brackets we have today and reducing them to only 3 brackets: a 10% bracket, a 25% bracket, and a 35% bracket.
When Trump was elected in November, Republican lawmakers joined his call to dismantle Obamacare in the first 100 days of his presidency. But Trump's attempt to do so ended in an embarrassing collapse in Congress. So did his funding request for a U.S. border wall with Mexico. He faced further embarrassment when a few courts thwarted his orders to ban foreign nationals from several mainly Muslim countries.
People feel the current administration is not reflecting the American values that people fled countries to come in and live under. So that been the general sentiment and disappointment to the American values that everyone respects.
India too has faced some worry. First, when Trump gave sweeping powers to security forces to check illegal immigrants, and recently a proposal to tighten H-1B visa rules. Details are still sketchy, and India is constantly in touch with US authorities. On the moral front as well, Trump faced backlash globally when he retaliated to the deadly April 4th chemical attack in Syria with a direct missile strike on Syrian government airfields. But the Congress is still hopeful.
I think the president's doing just fine with what he is promoting. I like the congressional review actions. I like the strike in Syria. I like the bunker buster bomb in Afghanistan. I like the more assertive foreign policy.
The big challenge he faces in the coming days is the North Korea situation. With the THAAD anti-missile system propped up in the south, Trump is in constant touch with President Xi Jinping of China, who has tried to tensions between the US and North Korea, but to little effect, as a 6th North Korean nuclear test may not be far away.
There's a chance that we could end up having a major conflict with North Korea. Absolutely.
If Trump's first 100 days prove anything, it's that politics is not business, and he still has much to learn and achieve. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some news from sports. India's challenge in the Badminton Asia Championships ended on Friday as shuttler PV Sindhu bowed out in the quarterfinals. World number 3 Sindhu went down fighting to He Bingjiao of China in 3 games in a match that lasted more than an hour. Sindhu started strongly winning the first game, but the 8th-seeded Chinese staged a comeback to win the second. The third game went to the wire, but the Chinese prevailed eventually to win 15-21, 21-14 and 24-22. And that's all we have for you in this edition of Breakfast News. Keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.